Friday night in the fall. And I was hanging around as a second grader on the stage at OLS watching the JV team, the 5th and 6th grade kids play. You know, I didn't know Mr. O'Toole, and he asked me if I wanted to practice. From that point on, really, from second grade all the way through college, you know, basketball was really the driving force in my life.
If you were 5 years old or 6 years old and you wanted to play, Tom O'Toole wanted to coach you. Other than my dad, Mr. O'Toole, Coach O'Toole had a bigger impact on my life than any other man.
I had, you know, tears in my eyes today thinking about him, thinking about what am I going to say, what can you say about the guy? He was a huge, huge influence on a lot of lives. You knew you were learning from someone bigger than, you know, your local gym teacher or coach. He was something special.
I was the head coach here at Archbishop Stepinac High School, and Tom O'Toole was my assistant for a number of years here. He never imparted how good a player he really was as a player, but he's in the Boston College Hall of Fame. And in addition to that, I don't know if he still does, but he held the NCAA assist record for a long time in Division I. So, you know, those are things he never talked about.
You know, if you see pictures of Coach O'Toole with our team that won the championship for him, he's hidden in the background. And that's the way he was in life. I mean, he was a bigger than life personality, but he wasn't doing it for the intention. He was doing it for, you know, to give the kids a gift. And it's funny because when we were down in Syracuse and saw Hubie Brown, when I told his grandkids to go up and tell them they were Tom O'Toole's grandkids. Hubie Brown's message to the boys was that if Mr. O'Toole had decided to become a professional basketball player, he would have been a big name. But back then, he was more interested in raising a family, and basketball, professional basketball, wouldn't have been able to support him. He was a family comes first kind of guy.
I think of so many different things, but passion is one. I think of, you know, him coming after work, he'd have his pinstripe suit pants on, he'd have his white Chuck Taylor Converse sneakers on, he'd pull off his business shirt, he'd have his V-neck t-shirt on.
He'd walk in the door, take his tie off, throw his shirt and tie, be there in his undershirt, and get down in the defensive stance and start growling. Nothing like growling before a basketball game. He'd have us growling in the locker room. We were all little kids who loved him. He had us doing crazy drills. Probably drills from the 50s that he did, but he learned the fundamentals.
He would have us in the huddle before the game, putting our hands in the huddle and go on Our Lady of Victory, pray for us, and then he'd say 1, 2, 3, and we'd all yell defense. He would much rather encourage the good pass or the offensive foul or the good rebound than the guy who scored the basket. There was this one game where we were down by like 8 points in the middle of the 3rd quarter, and I'd come off the bench, and I rebounded, passed, offensive foul, didn't score a point, and we came back and won the game. And at the end of the game, he was like, you know, you're the reason why we won the game. He said in front of the whole team, and I was over the moon. And he said, no, those are the things that help teams win. From that point, I learned what the game was about, and I also learned, you know, that I would do anything for that guy.
To be able to be taught at a young age, you know, that you need to show up for practice, that you need to be there on time, that there's a team that is counting on you, that you're part of something. I think that those are all things, again, that I was able to take throughout the course of my life and throughout the course of my basketball life as well.
He was the best assistant, and I think he could write a book for assistant coaches. And the reason that I say that is because you get a lot of assistants today that they're like the head coach when they coach. And they don't pay attention to the little details that the head coach might not be watching. Tom had a knack of like looking off the ball. He'd have a knack of looking at what somebody else on the other team was doing.
Go Kansas, Kansas, let's go. It's just pretty unbelievable to have an NBA board in the high school gym. I learned that Coach O'Toole was an unbelievable X's and O's guy when it came to specifically defense and a team that we're trying to become more defensive minded. Coach O'Toole instilled that. We talked with the team, we got wind that this was going to be purchased and donated to our school and to our program, and the importance and the value that it adds to this not only gym but this school and the community. They ask all the time what impact Coach O'Toole had on Stepinac and the individuals that went here and those who played before them. The kids are so appreciative of having this, but also knowing who it's being honored and placed in the gym for. And so important to know the impact that one person had on so many people.
I'm glad that this day is coming where we get to honor a great man and a great family. He just had such an impact on our foundation, on the core of who we are. He taught us the fundamentals of basketball and applying that in life. There wasn't a loose ball in life that I haven't dove for, thinking of Tom O'Toole.
I have 2 young boys who play, and I have them doing drills in the front yard, and they think I'm insane. I don't have them growling, but I do have them, doing pitter pats and doing, turning around, pivoting on their basic stuff. If you're with the OLS guys, Tom O'Toole always comes up. We were blessed to win a championship with him, and we all basically have the same 5x7 picture, and it's all on our nightstands.
Being a great person to be around kids, you're not going to get better than that. Being a great person to be working with coaches, you're not going to get better than that. He did so much for so many. I mean, you just count the number of kids that went through OLS and Archbishop Stepinac, and I will bet you to a person, they will remember some story about Tom O'Toole and something he either said to them or some encouragement he gave them that helped them to become a better person.